Hey, what's up, everybody? Brent from Brenspeed. Thanks so much for watching Brenspeed TV. Completely something different today. A little bit educational. No dyno videos. This is more about why are Mustang performance prices of parts going through the roof. Well, I don't know if a lot of you, maybe, we get these phone calls. Why are prices going up? Maybe you live under a rock, or you don't really leave your house. You don't really go to the store. But I'm going to go over a few things. I've called a lot of manufacturers, and I know pretty much why this is happening, but I just wanted to double check some of the information with some of the big manufacturers out there and explain to you on why in 2022 the performance part industry prices are probably going to keep continuing to go up. So back in the day, we used to get price increases in any shop out there about usually January of the following year. You get a price increase, and then you'd adjust your pricing, and they would do it about once a year. We are literally getting these right now almost on a monthly basis. And certainly, when you go into the grocery store and you look at those prices, or you go by the gas pump and most of the time you look at those prices, you're feeling that. And we feel it here too. But here is exactly why this happens. There's several things. You have supply and demand. I'm going to explain why supply and demand is an issue. You have, employee problems. That's an issue. Of course, COVID. Everyone's talking about COVID. What role did that play in making all these parts go up so much in price? And I'm talking 10 to 20%. I'm talking superchargers going up, maybe $1,000. Awesome exhaust systems that you normally would buy, maybe going up $500 for headers and mid-pipe. Like overnight, boom, they went up. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and it's going to continue to happen, and now's a really good time. If you're thinking pretty soon you want to get some parts, why you want to buy parts like right now, because they're probably going to be more, I would say, maybe 6 months from now. I think this is going to continue to happen. That's my prediction. And why you want to try to buy parts when they're in stock, because if you want to sit around and wait for something to come up in stock, that may not happen either. So we have supply and demand. What's that mean? Well, back when COVID hit, a lot of manufacturers had to close down. Tons of automotive performance parts come from California and they come from Michigan. Two states where a large majority of the parts out there come from, and people didn't come to work, all right? Whether it's because of COVID or whether another big thing, and I'm not a big political guy, and I'm not going to try to have a big political conversation, but if you want to leave a comment about this, I welcome it. The government will tell us over and over again the fact they put people on unemployment and did that big bonus for them not to go to work did not affect anything. That's what they're going to tell you. No problem doing that. Well, every manufacturer I called said that was a huge problem. Why? I mean, honestly, think about it. Why maybe would you go back to work if you're going to make more sitting on your ass at home? All right? So, I don't get that because I work like crazy, but that's what a lot of people did. So what that did was that slowed production. All right? So your supply basically went down. Your demand never changed. If your supply goes down and you cannot produce the parts, according to talking to all these manufacturers, you can't produce the parts. Well, hey, you sell the same overhead. Your overhead never changes. My overhead here doesn't really change. So if you cannot sell the parts you need to sell to pay your overhead, what's the first thing any company does? They have to increase the price of the parts. So that's one of the big problems we're all facing, and that's one of the big reasons you're seeing part prices go up just on employees alone and production not being able to be as stable as it was in the past. So they only have a limited quantity to sell. You got to mark those prices up. I get it, in order to pay your overhead, because you got to stay in business. So that's one of the big problems, supply and demand, and that's how it works. And I know a lot of you watching this know that, but it's pretty amazing to me, the clients we talk to on the phone, they kind of have no clue this is going on. So this is one of the reasons. You don't have the supply, but you got the demand. You got to raise the price in order to pay your overhead because you don't go out of business. And that's one of the reasons. You have everything else going on in the world. So you have like cost of transportation. Everyone's seen gas prices. Those are going up. Well, it's going to cost more to transport that product. And then you hear about just availability of, maybe it's something not in the USA. You have the whole cargo ship problem. You want to buy a container, you're a manufacturer, you have maybe some raw materials coming from another country. Well, that cargo container shipping price went way up. Well, they're not going to eat that. They're going to pass it on. So that's another big problem. I mean, the list of problems goes on and on, but it's a chain reaction. So, raw materials. Let's just start there. Raw materials. You have a company that manufactures a product. Well, they buy a raw material from someone else, but maybe it's a raw material that has possibly already been transformed into a halfway part. So, for example, I'll use cams, all right? So, a lot of companies out there, big companies, grind cams, and that's what they do. They grind them. They don't make the cams. They start with a core. That core is made typically 99% of the time, unless it's from China, they're made out of Michigan. So that core requires material in order to make the core. So the material price went up because the supply wasn't really there. And then that material goes to the core manufacturer. They raise the price. So now they're low on employees. Now, when you're low on employees, a couple things happen. Sometimes wages go up. So these states that were like, hey, we're going to give you a bunch of money to stay at home and not come back to work, even though government says that, hey, that didn't cause any problems, they didn't come back to work. So what they had to do was either pay them more, convince them to come back to work, money they didn't have. So what do you do to make up that money? You raise the price, or hire new employees that want to go to work. Awesome, you want to come to work, but now we have to train you. We have to train you for months and months and months, and that production is slow. So your supply is low, your demand's high. So now you have that company, let's say a cam company, you got the one making the cores. So now they can't supply a lot of cores. Their transport's high, the fuel's high, they're paying employees more, or they're training, they can't get it out the door, so they're increasing prices. So now that goes to the cam grinder. One of the big companies out there, there's many of them that grind cams. Well, they're getting small supply. Same thing for them. They're facing the same problem as the raw material supplier, as the core supplier. Now they're trying to make them. They're low on employees. So they're doing the same thing. They're paying more for the raw materials. They're paying more for transport. And what that does, it trickles. Every single company is charging more, and then here we are. We get our parts. Well, we paid more on transport. We paid them more, so the prices go up. We're not just raising prices, or no company, any shop out there. They're not raising prices because they're just trying to take advantage. They're just trying to, make money to pay their overhead. And then as everyone raises prices, that's a really big thing. So you have like supply, demand, fuel, transport. Your overhead never changes. Like my overhead here, it never really changes. So I have the same amount of money we have to pay every single month to, pay our bills. But as those prices come up, it's going to get passed on. And that's the big reason the, performance parts industry and the prices are going up. You just have things like supply, demand, transport. You have a lot of other issues that cause some of these problems, which I'm not going to really go into a lot, but a lot of parts are made in California, and there's a lot of word. If you Google this and you look it up, and hey, if any of you are from California, I'd like to get more info on this, because I tried to do a little research, but like EPA maybe makes some rules that says, hey, if you have a vehicle older than 2011 or something like that, it needs to be updated to the new EPA standards. Well, these are transport vehicles. So I read a little bit about this, and they're like, a lot of these people maybe had to either buy new vehicles or modify their vehicles to pass new standards, which costs money, which makes transport go up. And I don't have a lot of facts on that, but maybe some of you are from California and be like, yeah, I know someone that maybe stopped transporting because they didn't have the money to upgrade their vehicle. So you constantly are seeing on the news, we're having transport issues. Maybe that has a little bit to do with it. Maybe it's some people that didn't come back to work. I'm not really sure exactly what that is, but everything plays a role in what's going on with why do parts cost more. And the other thing is, why should you get these parts now while they're in stock? Lead times. I want to talk about lead times. Why are they so high? So I called one of my major manufacturers and said, hey, I want to talk about lead times. I got a pretty good grasp on why they're high like they are, but like, what's your worst lead time? So one manufacturer told me that they have a purchase order out for $25,000 of a small part that's 2-year-old PO. They did this in January of 2020, and they have got 8,900 of that part in to fill the 25,000 or whatever they already had on order. They have another 400,000 of that part on order. So they have a 2-year-old purchase order to get 25,000, but they've only got 8,900. Well, supply and demand. You got to make money. You got to pay overhead. You maybe are paying employees more to get them to come back to work. Everything's going up. Electricity, like whatever. Everything costs more, and that's why prices are constantly increasing. So what we've been doing is we've been doing everything we can to get our hands on product. I have purchase orders right now that are over a year old. Parts I ordered a year ago predicting this mess, but luckily a lot of this stuff's been coming in. So we have a lot of parts in stock. And I have a lot of different parts on order that I've ordered over the last 12 months that are slowly trickling in. But back in the day, a lot of people call it drop shipping. Maybe you're a company and you're going to drop ship it. What that means is I don't have the part here, but the manufacturer has it. So you want to buy it from me, I'm going to have the manufacturer ship it to you. You can normally get that stuff in a couple days. A lot of times right now we're talking months. 5 months, 6 months, 7 months. A lot of you know Whipple superchargers. Whipple superchargers in California. They are smoked over there right now. They're smoked from prices going up, from employee problems, all kinds of California problems. It is no less typically right now than 5 months to get a Whipple supercharger. I've got superchargers on order from over 5 months ago that are not here yet. But the good news is we predicted this, so we've been ordering them, so we have tons of Whipples in stock, Roush superchargers in stock, Paxton Vortec, things like that, tons of exhaust. You want some headers, we typically are going to have 1, 2, or 3 brands in stock, ready to ship to you and put in your car, because we ordered this stuff literally like a year ago. And we have tons of purchase orders between now and then to keep this stuff coming in. So you want to buy it now because the prices, one, if you want it now, you want to put it on your car, you don't want to wait 6 months or maybe 2 months on certain parts. You just want to get it. You need to get a hold of us and we can ship it right out to you, or we can get it on your car. But that stuff's eventually going to run out. I mean, we have all these, we call it forecasting. It's really hard to do. But we have all these purchase orders out there for parts that we think you're probably going to want. We don't know for sure. And we just hope everything comes in time for, they're here, they're always in stock. So when you want it, we can get it out to you. But it's going to be the waiting game after that. So basically, I just want to talk a little bit about why are prices going up? Why are lead times so high? Lead times are absolutely insane right now, but everything plays a role. Employees is a big problem. Supply and demand is a big problem. A lot of these manufacturers have to order parts or their raw materials a year ahead of time. I've talked to some that said they order them 2 years ahead of time, and you can't get it. So how do you forecast a year? It's almost impossible to do. So right now what everyone's doing is just taking everything they can get their hands on and, trying to be able to supply you. Everyone's trying to stay in business, but that's what's going on. That's why prices are increasing. A lot of you always say, man, I can't believe this went up 1,000, or I can't believe this went up 400. Well, go look around at what's going on in the world. Go in the store and check out prices, because I always use the grocery store as an example. It's absolutely getting insane. But that's where we are, and I don't forecast this getting any better in the next year. So hey, if you're saving up, there's nothing you can do. Just keep saving, and hopefully the price doesn't go up before you have enough money saved. But if you got the cash, you're kind of just sitting back, or maybe you're waiting for weather to clear, or maybe you just don't really know why you're waiting. Now's a really good time if the parts are in stock, whether it's from us or someone else. If we or someone else have the parts, it's a really good time to get it, because what's going to happen is the time you decide to pull that trigger, it might not be available. So that's my little rant about what's going on in the world. And I really would like you guys to leave a comment, maybe like where you live, what's going on over there, what's going on with the prices. But hey, I'm Brent from Brent Speed. Subscribe and notify if you'd like. You're going to see a lot of cool shop tours, dyno videos. I might do some more videos on this, on why things are happening like they're happening. But that's my opinion on what's going on. And I have a pretty good opinion. I've done this for over 20 years, and I have a really good feel for what goes on in this performance industry all the time. But that's it for today. So again, like I said, subscribe, notify, leave that comment. Thank you so much for watching. And hey, if you want a car belt, email quote@brentspeed.com. You can always check out brentspeed.com to get those parts shipped right to your door. Thanks for watching.